All right. So we are going to set up our file in Illustrator. I grabbed a new document and it's going to be a poster. So I'm going to go ahead and choose print up here in the tabs. And then I'm going to choose tabloid because we're going to do 1117. I'm going to change my measurements over here to inches and you'll see it says 1117. Now, you can choose to have your orientation portrait or landscape. Usually posters are portrait, not always, but usually they're portrait. Um, and so sometimes you can go landscape, but you want to have a good reason for it. I am going to do two artboards because we're going to do two variations digitally of our board. So the same concept, but we're going to maybe adjust and make some changes and choices along the way. I'm not going to worry about bleed. We're not actually printing these out, so I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to change it for now to to RGB from CMYK because we're going to be looking at it all digitally. But if I was to print this out, I would keep it CMYK. And I am going to keep it the high resolution so that if you did want to print it out, you would have a file big enough to print out. So we're going to keep it at the 300 pixels per inch. This means everything we design would be high enough resolution to print out. Now I'm going to say create. So here are my two artboards. And what I am going to do is give it a little more space between these. So when I go under my window, I can go into artboards. Oh, mine was already open. But I have two monitors. Where is it? Oh, it's over there. My Zoom was over it. And I'm going to go in here to this little Z kind of looking button at the bottom. And this tells me how I can add space. And I can go ahead and add, like I want to add a full, like two inches of space between my two columns. There we go. So now I have a little bit more space. They're not right on top of each other. Another way I can do that if I didn't want to go through the artboard rearrange artboard menu, I can click on the artboard tool over here and just hold my shift key down and just slide artboards apart. So that's an option too. Okay, when we're in Illustrator, first things first, we want to make sure we're in the right workspace. So I'm going to go to the workspace and I want to be in tracing. We're going to be going over our sketch. And so I want to have that tracing and it gives me all my illustration tools available to us. So just like we were when we were in our simplification project, we want to be in that same space. Okay, so now I have my two artboards here. I have my layers palette there. We want to have our layers palette handy. And I'm going to go ahead and place my sketch on my first board here. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to go to my downloads because I downloaded, and it should come under Mariah's name. So I just need to look for her name. There it is. Place. Now you see how it's attached to my cursor. The nice thing about that is I can just click and it's just going to go wherever. So if I just click, it just goes wherever. I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to show you what I like to do instead. I'm going to say place. Here we go again. There's Mariah. Place. It's attached. I can click and drag it out to the exact size I want it on my page. So I like that because then I can just put it exactly where I want it versus just clicking it kind of willy-nilly. So here I have it on my page exactly how I want it. Now, I can play with the opacity of this. If I don't want it so dark, I can adjust it up here in the opacity because I'm in that tracing layer. I'm going to leave it, it's pretty light, but I'm going to kind of leave it right where she had it. And then I'm going to open up my layers palette and I'm going to call this layer my sketch layer. And then I'm going to go ahead over here and go new layer. And this is going to be my art layer. So I know my red is my art layer. Okay. And I'm going to go back here to my sketch layer. I'm going to double click on that. And you can see here that this is my blue layer. I can also dim image here if I want to. Let's do 75. I think 50 is going to be too light. If I want to dim it, I can also lock it so that it doesn't move. And so I'm gonna say, okay, you can see it lightened a little bit and it's also locked. I can't move anything. It automatically locked the sketch layer. So first things first, I like to do that so that when I start building something, it's not in the way. Now, like you heard Mariah say, she also did another sketch with lots of elements she's going to add to this. So this is like a little sketch. This doesn't look like it's quite the design of the poster, I'm guessing. Would that be right, Mariah?
Yeah, it's roughly the design, I feel like. The letters, I found like the type of letters that I want to use. So I was thinking that I could just, because I
Use
had
a
a picture of
typeface.
the letters, just like put that in. So
Yeah.
it's like
You'll
a
use
rough,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll use a typeface for the letters. So let's assume like up here is going to be a typeface where she's going to put the letters. I'm not going to do that right now. But I'm going to worry about right now is the elements. So I'm going to start with this little clipboard. Now the thing that the what is it called? Slate board? What did you
Clapperboard.
clapperboard? Thank you. I'm like, I knew there's a
Sure.
name for it. All right, so we're going to look at this and kind of look at the elements of it and build it from shapes. So the beautiful thing in Illustrator is remember if we have the rectangle shape, and if we hold that down, you're going to see all the other shapes, stars, polygons, ellipses, rounded rectangle, all the things. So we want to look at anything and say, how can we build this pretty quickly using the tools we have? So really this is a rectangle. I'm going to change it to an outline and I'm going to make it a little beefy so we can kind of see it. Now I can see that I can just angle it, right? But I don't want to angle it yet. I think it might be easier to build this just straight on and then angle the whole thing when I'm done. So even saying that, I might go over here to my sketch layer, grab my sketch, click on this rotation, and kind of straighten up my sketch so that the clapboard is straight while I'm building it. I can always move it later and I'm going to lock it back down. So now I have my sketch a little straighter so I can kind of see it. And I can say, okay, this is about where I want to go. Now I can build this. Remember, we can build in layers. Here's the first layer. I'm going to take and build another Oops, grab that. I can build another rectangle for the striped area. I'm going to just reverse that, make that solid. And I'm going to copy that by holding my Shift, Command, and Option key. And then I can make that at an angle. And if I want to keep it outlined so I can kind of see what I'm doing, that's fine too as I'm building. Here I have like kind of a half circle and a square round connected. So I'm going to show you how we might want to do that. So let's say I grab and make a half circle. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pull this out of the way for a minute. So here's this half circle because I wanted to line up kind of in the corner of this to build this kind of mechanism to, be the hinge. And then you can see it's cut straight with like a rectangle. And it kind of it ties itself right into this shape. So actually what I might even say is I can make it so I want to cut it off maybe right there. Okay, I'm gonna okay. So I'm gonna look at selecting both of these items and using, I'm going to make them using the shape builder tool, connect different pieces. So here I have this piece. I'm going to connect it, and I'm going to take, it's kind of cut oops, use my shape builder tool again. Okay, there we go. Actually, I didn't need, so then I'm going to cut that off. I don't need this. That was just kind of to guide me. I can, there we go. Now I've created this kind of half circle that I can connect to other pieces. So now I can take this piece and connect it to this if I want. Again, using the shape builder tool, which allows me to select something and draw over it. And it can either take it apart or connect it in. And so then I have separate pieces. So I can say, this comes off. And now I have this piece and this piece. Oopsie, I don't want to change it. I'm going to be a nice selection tool. This can be its own piece and cut it away from the circle. And I want to do that because I'm gonna do something different to this piece. So I'm showing you these kind of details because I want to show you how we can really get in there and make all the elements out of pieces of shapes. And there's a couple key tools I want you to be aware of how we use. So for example, I'm gonna come over here to the side. We can build things out of a square, a circle, polygons, and you can adjust the polygons, to from a triangle to all the different sides by just moving these along. We have the star tool, which also we can add how many points to it, sliding it up and down. We can hold the shift key down, and we can rotate this and hold the shift key down, and when we make it and create a perfectly what do I want to say, standing straight up and down with the straight lines, unlike this one where I didn't have that happening when I hold the shift key down on the star. There's a couple different ways you can build your shapes. So when you're building things, the kind of cool thing is I'm going to make these some different colors so you can kind of see how they work. Okay. So now we can make them merge. So if I'm like building something and I wanted to have kind of like a, kind of parts of a star coming up, I want to make these two become one shape. That's where I can use this shape builder tool. And you can see how I can select by just drawing this line together, and now they've come together, and I'm going to add it to there. So now I've made all of these one shape. Excuse me, they're no longer two shapes. Sometimes you get a little awkwardness, like here you can see I have a little bump in the road, if you can see that. This little like piece that didn't kind of line up perfectly. You can always go back in with your pen tool, delete anchor point, and delete any anchor point that isn't working. So anytime you have something that's not quite what you expected, that delete anchor point becomes very handy, and it's underneath the pen tool. Couple key things to remember when you're in the direct select, the selection tool, which is the black arrow, you're moving the whole object. If you use the white arrow, you're moving just one piece of that object. See, it's not going to move the whole object. It's just going to move that one piece. But when you are also in that direct select tool, which is the white arrow, you're going to see at the ends, you're going to see these little circles. I'm going to try to go big so you can see this. It's so tiny. And when you click it, you can start rounding the edges versus not having these sharp points. So I can kind of round this. I can do that here too. I have to select the point and then I can start rounding it. Same up here. I have to select the point first, then I'll see the round, and you can see there's a little half circle that comes after my underneath my arrow, and it lets me round. So you can look, this is starting to look like, I don't know, maybe like a dog or something. You know, I'm starting to kind of get some interesting elements. I can also shift and move these elements one at a time. I can also, on my rectangle, adjust this. I can click this point, adjust this. There we go. Now let's say I want to add something to it, or I want to change the line. I can go in here and take my pencil tool, double click here, make sure you're all the way up to smooth. Okay, I am. I'm going to say okay. I have to have my object selected, my line selected, and I can start drawing on this line and make some changes. And now it automatically made these changes to my shape. So it's really versatile. There we go. So now I have like, I'm making quite the little blobby character here. So but I have it all soft edges. Now let's say I want to give it a hole in the middle. Let's make, I'm going to add another star here. I'm going to add it in another color so you can see it. So here's my star, and I'm going to add it on here. I want to turn this into I'm going to show you. I want to make it a hole, not just a colored star sitting on top, because I'm going to put this on something else. I'm going to make this a different color. Object, arrange, send to back. Okay, so here is my, I want to hole through this object. So I have the object, I've selected the star and the object. Both are selected. I'm going to go to Object, Clipping Mask. No, sorry, Compound Path, Make. So now you can see that is a hole. It's not a green star on it. It's not a white star, and it's a hole. So I'm going to see what's ever behind it. So think if you're designing, like, I'm going to go to our wheelchair. So we have a wheelchair, and wheelchairs have holes. They're not solid all the way through. So when Mariah designs her, oopsie, that's a square. Square wheels weren't going to get you anywhere. When she's designing her wheelchair wheels, okay, I'm going to make this way. So you're like, why would I need that? Well, this is where we're going to use that kind of cool feature. Another thing we can do, she's going to have concentric circles here. She has a circle for her wheelchair. Let's say I want to make a circle and I want to build it out of the middle of the tire so it's all aligned. I'm going to hold my Option key down, and then I'm going to hold my Shift key down, and that gives me perfect circles. Zoom in. Now these two circles, I want them aligned. They're not right now. You can see that. I'm going to hold my Shift key down and grab both circles. I'm going to go up here to my alignment tools and align it vertically and horizontally. Now I have two perfectly aligned circles for my wheels. They're not wheels yet. All right. So I have these two guys, and then I can see there's a cool little shape she has in here. I'm going to use my pencil tool for that. That just seems like a great thing for a pencil tool. And I'm just going to copy Mariah's sketch here kind of loosely. I'm not going to get too nervous about it. Keep it a little abstract. Ooh, there it is. So there's her sketch. I'm gonna center that in my wheels. Grab all three, my two circles and this little guy here. Center, center. Okay, now it's centered. And then there's still a circle in the middle. So there's one more circle. I'm going to grab my circle. Boom, there it is. One more time, align everything. I'm holding my shift key down. I'm aligning everything, aligning. And where's my other one? Aligning. Okay. Now everything is an outline. I want to switch it now. So right now I'm going to go ahead and make this one solid, but I'm going to make it a different color so I can see what's going on. Okay, so that's the back circle. Mariah, is the inside of what part of this, if any, do I see through to is there any part of this that's see through?
Not really, actually. They're actually like solid.
All right, let's
But you could
pretend.
like, yeah, you could make like the fan looking thing see
The
through.
fan
Like
thing see through. That's what I was thinking.
see
Okay,
through.
that's what I was thinking too. Okay, so I'm gonna make the tires blue because why not? Um, I'm gonna make the fan thing the see-through thing. So I'm gonna select the fan and the back because the white line is just kind of on a decorative element for the moment for our purposes. But I want this fan to be see-through. So I'm going to grab the fan and the blue and I'm going to go object, compound path, make. Perfect. So now there is my like kind of the outer. Now don't worry, those other pieces are there. This just came to the front. So I'm just going to go to object, arrange, send to back. And then this purple guy, I'm going to make that a solid. I'm going to make him bigger. Okay, and that's going to go in the blue world. And then I could also add in here if I want, oopsie, other kind of elements. Like we can actually make, oopsie, am I in the right tool? I am, okay. Um, didn't you tell me, wait, did you tell me your wheels were pink? Were you telling me, what was pink?
Um, the wheels aren't pink, but the like the back of it is pink.
Got it. Okay.
But you can make the
Well,
wheels pink,
can I
so
make the wheels pink? Since we're artists, we can kind
yes.
of do whatever we want, right? We can take that liberty. I'm making them pink and turquoise. All right. So, and this is how I'm building up. So she can build this up as much as she wants to get whatever look. She can make her tires look as cool as she wants. Um, and start kind of building them up. And then and the reason I'm saying if she wants that darker, if she wanted a hole there or if she wants a hole down here, just to kind of show whatever that color is behind it. So these are the kind of ways you're going to start building up and building things to go. And when you're doing this, another quick thing is we can design things to fill in side and draw inside of lines. So this is the last thing I'm going to show, and then I'm going to check in with each of you and let you kind of go crazy on it. So here is we're going to do these stripes, right? Because this is a clapboard. No, am I calling it the right thing? Now I'm forgetting again. What is it called?
Yeah, it's close enough. Clapperboard, but
Okay, clapperboard. See, I'm
it's
totally
it's close
screwing that
enough.
up. Okay, so we have the ability to draw inside of shapes where they're not going to go outside of the shape. So down here, there's three little buttons. There's draw behind and draw inside. And you can shift D to switch mode. So I'm going to use the draw inside. And so I'm going to take what am I going to do? What the heck? Let's do the pencil tool. I'm going to make it a little more free flowing. And I'm going to use a real big brush. And I'm going to do kind of an angled zigzaggy thing to make my stripes. Notice how the stripes are staying inside the rectangle. They didn't go out. I just drew this quick little zigzaggy line to do it, make it more like free flow, less accurate. Now let's look at it. Boom, there's my clapboard. I think Mariah will probably do much better than I did. But you can see how I can just choose to draw inside and I can do something real quick, real fast. And I can do that again down here. Let's say I want to make a rectangle here. And I want to say draw inside. I'm going to use my thing again, and I'm going to just draw real quick zigzaggy lines. And hold on, undo, undo. I don't think I got out of this one. That's why it's not letting me. Okay, I got to undo it, go out of that. Okay, I have to go out. I didn't go out of the last one. Didn't keep my rectangle. Okay, let me do my rectangle again. Rectangle. Like this, and I just want it to be a 1 point line. There we go. Okay, here's my rectangle for down here. I'm going to select the draw inside. I'm going to grab my pencil, and this time again, I'm going to do a real thick line. I want to get up to like 9, and I'm going to draw a real quick zigzag. There's my zigzag. Okay, so there's my line. So you can do some fun things, and she might not do that for this particular thing, but you can do some fun things to draw inside. Okay, and you have to just double click over on the side of the artboard to release it. But now she has something, she can move it around. Nothing's happening. It's moving around. You can also do that with any shape, any shape you have. So if you have a shape like a circle here, I can take my stroke. I'm going to take the fill off. I'm going to switch this. I got to make it a different color. Let's make it blue. And I want to do something where it looks scribbled or something. See? And I double click off. And there now I have the scribble texture on the circle. So fun with that. Those features are down here. You can also draw behind, and you can just draw regular. So these are some things to think about. When you get to your type, yes, you can use the type tool and put in, so she's got my life is like a movie. All things. Okay, so there's her type. We can go ahead with, any of our types. Look, let's say we want to do something like that. Get it up poster size. And then adjust things. She can rotate this. Oops, that is not what I want to do. Does it do that if it stays in the type box? I think it does. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Don't do that. So let's say I have it the way I want it. I can take object. I think I have to be in the type tool. Type. Oh, I have to be, you do have to be in this. Okay. Type. There it is. Create outlines. Under type, create outlines. Now it's an art. You can't edit it anymore in type, but now I can angle it and move it how I want it. It's not going to do anything weird. So these are things. So now I can also, all my art is on the art layer. I can turn off my sketch layer anytime and just look at my art, turn my sketch layer back on. Okay. So a couple other key things when we're setting up our design in Illustrator, and I'm going to turn this art layer off. I'm going to turn the sketch layer off, and I'm going to create one more new layer, and I'm going to call this layer grid. Grid. Okay. I'm going to say dim to 50%. We're not going to print this. We're going to lock it. I'm going to say okay. So my grid layer is I'm going to take I'm going to draw a rectangle. Oh, wait, I locked the layer. No, don't lock the layer until you draw on it. I'm going to make this an outline. Object. I am going to have us make, oh, why can I not see it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's under here. Sorry, don't use sorry, let me start over. Under the line tool is the rectangular grid tool. So grab this rectangular grid tool and we're going to start in the corner and we're going to bring it all the way down. That's going to make you just a basic grid the way they want it. We can double click here and determine right here how many, oopsie, not that. I don't want to skew it. I don't want to have it skewed. Sorry, 0. No skewing. How many dividers I want. If I want 6. If I want vertical, I have more height, so I might want 12. And use the outside rectangle as a frame and say okay. And so you can measure it exactly how you want it. So now when I grab this, it's going to make it based on what I just put in there. And so there's my 6 by 12 grid. And the reason can be very helpful, and I have it, and we're going to lock it, is so that when we're looking at our design, and I'm going to put it below my art, when I put my art on, I can now have some things to help me. Oh, I'm going to lock the grid. Here's my art. I can lock things into this grid and have some ways to organize my information. I can also see that I have give myself I can give myself a margin all the way around. So let's say I want to have, this color kind of fill this part of my page. And then I can play with, okay, I want my type to fit in here. It's giving you some ways to kind of organize your ideas. And if you want to see what's happening, like if I put this color, I can't really see everything. I might make it softer so I can see through it. Oh, no. So I can see my grid while I'm working. I can turn it back up to 100% later. But I might want to organize things and like have this guy align up here and align into 4 columns. So it just gives you some ways to help organize your thoughts on a page. I like to have a grid to help me. It's not like you have to be a slave to this grid. It's just to kind of give you some guidance so that you can kind of imagine how you're going to lay out all of these elements on this page. So it can kind of just give you some alignments, how to align things, how you might want to align things. So for example, I might want the type 1 grid rectangle in from either side so it feels more centered, that kind of thing. So these are things to think about as you're designing. All right, any questions? I know I went through a lot of elements, a lot of tools, and as you know, I recorded this, so I'm available to answer. I see there's a chat question. How to create the grid again? Yes, I can definitely do that. So let's, here we are. I'm going to close that grid out and let's do another one. I'm going to make a new layer. Call this grid 2. All right, we're going to go under the line segment tool in your toolbar. Under the line segment tool is the rectangular grid tool. We're going to select it. Now you double click on it, you can make some choices. So we have our file is 11 by 17. So you can put our actual page size in there. And then you can decide, let's say I want it 1-inch squares, so let's just make it 11 horizontal and 17. That's going to give me 1-inch squares. And I'm going to say, okay. So now I'm going to click in the upper left-hand corner and drag it all the way down to the right-hand corner. There we go. Now I have 1-inch squares. I believe it should be that. Hold on a minute. Doesn't look like it was though. No, 11 by 17. 11 by 17. Okay. It should be just immediately. There we go. There we are. 1 inch squares. Oh, and in order to see them, here's the other thing. Notice how it's there, but if I don't have a stroke on here, I can't see it. So you want to select it, grab your stroke here, and add a color. So you can make it a light color if you don't want it so dark. Let's say I want to let's make it a blue, like a light blue. Then I can still see it. Okay. So that's the rectangular grid tool. And I'm putting that on its own layer, and I'm going to put it below the artwork so I can see it below the artwork. Okay, and then I like to lock it down in my layers so that it doesn't move around on me. So now I can kind of rethink my design and work with this new grid. If I don't like the first grid I tried, I can say, oh yeah, maybe I like this one better. So just something to kind of start thinking about how to give yourself some ways to organize. You can also, this is very symmetrical, you can make it asymmetrical. You can say, okay, I want to use 2 lines there and I want it to be, you can make your grid also not so symmetrical. I'm going to show you one more little tool you can do on your grids. Let's close this one. Let's do one more. All right. So for this grid, I'm going to select it, double click. I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be 11 by 17. This time I'm going to skew it. I'm going to skew it 150%, 100 and 140 and 140 both ways. Say okay. Now you can see here's another kind of grid. Again, I have to give it a color, otherwise I'm not going to see it. I'm going to give it a green so I can see it. So what it's done, let me close off this artwork so you can just see it. It's made an asymmetrical grid. It's made it so the lines are getting closer together as they go to the right. And it's percentage. Now this might be too extreme, and I kind of think it is. Let's try another one. Let's try one more where it's maybe not 140, maybe 110, a little less. 10. Okay. Let's take a look and see what we get with 110. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit more. That's an asymmetrical grid, which can be kind of fun, especially for poster design. Okay. And you can have it just skew one way or both ways like I did. And then you can kind of play with that as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can play with your grids. Again, always moving them below your art layers so you have them below, kind of build on top. All right. Any other questions? That was a good one.
This is from the beginning. Miss Amy,
Yes.
your width and your height, is it 8 by 5 inches?
11 by 17.
11 by 17. Thank you.
11 by 17.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. I'm going to stop here